Hello, everyone. It's Auth Astro Chick, and I wanted to talk about the Mercury-Mars conjunction this weekend in the sign of Scorpio. Mars rules the sign of Scorpio in traditional astrology. It's the nocturnal, feminine, receptive rulership of Mars, which is very different than Aries. I chose my image based on my Aries mentality because I have Mars in Aries. But the more I think of it, Scorpio's a very different vibe. Scorpio's not as loud as Aries. Scorpio is more observational, more perceptive. I would have to say, the difference in Mercury being in either Aries or Scorpio is that I think it pays more attention in the sign of Scorpio. And the fact that it's ruled by a planet in its power, Mars is ruler of Scorpio, it just makes it a more defined type of energy. I think it's going to be easier to make decisions or to think about things in a very structured, fixed, focused type of way. And where, there are elements of argumentative nature or debate, I think will be stimulated, of course. There's going to be strategic conversations and maybe harsh words, but the harsh words might be more emotional in their nature rather than words of war, like you would think with Aries, right? Aries is any martial sign is very cutting, but in different ways. With Scorpio, it's water, so it's in the body, it's emotional, right? So be careful not to hurt people's feelings with things that you say. Be very focused on the words that you use when you're trying to have conversations. And because it's still Libra season and Venus is in Libra. So that's a big vibe right now too, is, social grace and also, working towards a balance with other people. And because Scorpio is receptive, I think that listening will be highlighted during this time. And by listening, we will gain a deeper perception of, who we're speaking to, and the issues that you guys are dealing with. Scorpios are very problem-solving oriented type of energy. So it can help to define the ideas that you're trying to explain or defend or to control other people, because like Venus in Libra is very good at the social graces and etiquette and trying to make everyone feel comfortable and finding a balance socially, right? So this could actually be a really good conversation that you have with somebody. It's just, the human element warns us to just be careful the words that we use and the emotional context of the conversations that we're having with other people. And another interesting thing about this conjunction is that this is the first in the series of 3 conjunctions that occur in the signs of Scorpio, Sagittarius, and Capricorn. And this is the one that starts it. And it's also the one in which the ruler of Scorpio is in rulership and part of the conjunction. So it's more powerful in this moment. And so we should observe this time in our lives and think about the conversations that we're having or the words that we're using and how this might evolve through time into next January. Because on the 12th of November, this occurs again with Mercury being in a conjunction with Mars, but they're in the sign of Sagittarius, and Mercury will be in a retrograde position. So when this changes, the strength of the conjunction, the strength of the planets, and it changes the meaning because it's also someplace else in your chart, right? And so this might be a rethinking of whatever idea, whatever exchange is created in this moment, or rather Sunday on the 20th, got it? And so the November conjunction could be more of a reflection of those conversations that you're having or those thoughts that you've created during this time. And then in January, Mercury will be direct, and Mars will come into a conjunction, or rather Mercury will come into a conjunction with Mars. Thank you very much. And Mars is actually in its exaltation in the sign of Capricorn. It's also at this time, like, because I've looked into the new year and everything, that Venus will be in conjunction with Mars, and then the Sun will be in conjunction with Mars and Venus. And so this is a big conjunction moment in January when we have multiple personal planets coming into conjunctions with each other in the signs of Capricorn, which are, I don't want to say gnarly, but they worry us, because those are the, Capricorn degrees were the degrees that started all the trouble in 2020. But I feel like, because Mars is in exaltation and we're working with creative energy, the Sun is the most creative energy. Venus and Mars are creative planets, and the fact that Mercury is the communicator, it's the go-between, it's the translator, it's the messenger. Okay. And so I think that we will evolve whatever action it is that we're trying to put together, that we're trying to strategize about, that we're trying to perceive, whatever idea it is. I think that we're going to fine tune it through the dark months. And I think in January, when we have that final conjunction between these two planets, I think that we'll have the best possible outcome from it, right? But just remember, this is the beginning. November is like the retrograde retrospective of this energy. And then in January, I think it's the exaltation of this energy. Think of it that way. So get your journals out. I hope you have a great weekend. Oh, one other thing is, I just want to say, it's really wild that this is also great energy for like launching brands and starting commerce, because Mercury rules exchange, not just in communication, but also in commerce. So any kind of selling of goods, and shopkeeping, like that is all accentuated with this conjunction. And two of my friends are launching their brands, or new branches of their brands this weekend. And I think it's great energy. Or Monday. I don't know if they said Sunday or Monday, but it's around the time of the conjunction. And it's a very natural type of energy to put forth and launch a new brand, or to try to sell something that you've cultivated and created over time. Anyway, I hope you all have a great weekend, and I'll catch y'all later. Bye.